and seeing that brand new baby was still such a thrill. That's from a personal standpoint, but also as a scientist, we're still learning a lot. And being able to combine the two is, yeah, it's just amazing.
The researchers have named the family group with Kamea the Atananga group.
Kamea is a very good leader of his group. He's calm, but he's also, I would say, he is in control. He's very vigilant. He's always watching what else is going on, and I think he has like a very good model of leadership to be in charge of his group. He keeps track of his kids and so forth. But yeah, he's got a really lovely personality.
The core of the group consists of the silverback and the mothers of his offspring. Females fathered by the silverback leave the group once they mature, which prevents incest. They will eventually join forces with another solitary gorilla, or with a different group. Young males eventually leave. Waka is 10 years old and will probably spend another 4 or 5 years with his family. Waigley is 6, giving him another decade or so with the group. After their departure, the males roam the forest on their own, hoping to eventually form their own little group. Malumbai is just 1 year old and faces an uncertain future. Nobody knows how long Kamea will be able to lead or maintain the group. The departure of the offspring means that lowland gorilla groups are smaller and not as stable as those of their relatives, the mountain gorillas. If Kamea dies, the group will dissolve. Early in the morning, the gorillas leave their sleeping places in the treetops and seek out the nearest source of food. It's not entirely clear who is leading the group, but the mothers bring up the rear with their offspring. Baby gorillas travel on their mothers' backs for the first 2 years of their lives. Malumbai already knows how to hold on tight, but the newborn is still somewhat helpless. The length of the breakfast journey depends on the season. Fresh bark would appear to be a particular delicacy, even if removing the strips from the branches requires patience. The portions are small, so it's hardly surprising that gorillas spend around 6 hours a day eating. There is no shortage of fresh, luscious vegetation, but gorillas are picky eaters. Fresh blossoms are in high demand. 80% of these tasty snacks consist of water, so gorillas rarely need to drink. Much of what we know about the western lowland gorillas is thanks to Martha Robbins and her team, who spent 8 years in the jungle attempting to win the trust of the shy apes. This took patience and perseverance.
In the beginning, I sort of joke, all you see are the shadows of gorillas. They hear you coming and they just flee. They just run away. They do a lot of what's called barking. There are these alarm barks that they give. And then gradually over time, you can get a little bit closer and they become more tolerant. they'll start climbing trees when you're present, and that's okay. And then eventually they'll let you walk with them. And then it's almost like this invisible boundary between the gorillas and you gets shorter and shorter. A lot depends on the kind of the disposition of the silverback. Some are much more laid back or tolerant than others. And so Kamaya, the silverback in our group, he was quite calm from the very beginning.
The process allowing the primates to become accustomed to humans took 5 years. Many different people were involved, and the local trackers were an essential part of the process. The men from the Babongo people live in Waka, a wilderness at the heart of Gabon, 3 days' journey from the Luango National Park. These men and their families grew up in the rainforests and are very familiar with the gorillas. Tracking is an essential part of their education. This gorilla is named after the men's home, Waka. The 10-year-old male has discovered a termite nest. Some gorillas will eat insects, but Waka is clearly not one of them. In fact, Waka seems somewhat confused by the insects in their home, and soon turns his attention back to the more familiar leaves. Apart from an occasional snack of ants or termites, gorillas are vegetarians. Young gorillas and mature females eat around 15 kilograms of vegetation a day. Silverbacks manage an impressive 25 kilograms a day. Fruits like figs and nuts provide a large portion of the required vitamins and nutrients, but a little physical activity is necessary to reach them. Makibo has clambered up a 20-meter-high fig tree, clutching her newborn baby. It is a risky undertaking. The young gorilla is still too small to hold on safely to its mother. A week after its birth, the young gorilla's skin is now covered in a layer of soft fur. Ambia sits nearby with her own baby. Malumbi is curious and tries to get at the figs, but the enticing fruit are a long way away. Young gorillas pay close attention to their mothers as they grow, becoming increasingly independent and learning how to fend for themselves. Finally, the fig is hers. At around 9 months of age, they begin to experiment with solid foods. This will be one of the first figs of the young gorilla's life. A handful of fur, and the journey can begin. For little Malumbi, acrobatics like this are all in a day's work. Makibo and her newborn, on the other hand, still have to navigate the treetops carefully.
seeing Makebo this first week with the newborn, she's just been doing a wonderful job taking care of the baby. You know, the idea of climbing 30 meters up with a brand new baby, you know, in humans we would, you know, you'd never think about doing that. But she needs to eat and she needs to do what everybody else is doing. But, you know, she'll climb a bit and then stop and readjust and then keep going. So yeah, they're both good mothers.
Gorillas are easygoing creatures, often resting in the undergrowth for 2 or 3 hours after eating. The adults lie in a loose group a few meters from each other. Waka, however, has other plans. It's time to investigate the new arrival to the family. Our emotional connection to these animals can be explained using cold hard facts. Humans and gorillas differ in just 1.8% of our genetic makeup. The behavior of 1-year-old Molumbi will appear familiar to many human parents. Eventually, Ambia has had enough of her offspring's antics and gently but firmly makes the playful young gorilla calm down. The peace doesn't last. Before long, Waka and Awegli are engaged in an energetic game. Lowland gorillas have a lot of space at their disposal. Their habitat covers 8 Western African countries. Despite the large area, protected rainforests like those in Gabon are receding. The baby gorillas spend a lot of their time sleeping. It is a peaceful but dangerous time. Many gorilla babies die at a young age as a result of disease or injury. For the first 6 months of their lives, they are entirely dependent on their mother's milk for survival. The forest elephants inhabit the same territory